Han Junwoo is still at his desk when he sees him. No backup, no plan beyond the one thing he came here to finish. Han looks up from his desk, and for a second there's real surprise on his face. Then something worse settles in behind it. Amusement, like some part of him has been waiting for this exact confrontation to be forced into daylight. Sejun is already walking through the office, past a wall of cubicles, straight at him. No warning, no hesitation, just a headbutt, and then Han's face snapping sideways in front of everyone who works here. The office goes silent, then loud, then confused, all at once. Nobody moves to stop it. Nobody knows what they're watching. Sejun doesn't let the moment breathe. He says it loud enough for the whole floor. Han Junwoo shares a surname with the company's chairman, and that's not a coincidence. Then he leans in, blood already on Han's mouth, and asks him if he's smiling because he's addicted to it. Han deflects, claims there are plenty of men named Han in Korea. Nothing to see here. It's a decent lie if nobody's paying attention. Sejun makes sure they are. The murmuring starts before Han can shut it down. He tries anyway, grabs the moment, spins it, tells his coworkers that this is his mentally ill younger brother. Please don't mind him, he'll take him to get help. It almost works. Almost. Sejun isn't done. He shouts it into the open floor. The chairman has a bastard child, and everyone in this building has been taking orders from him without knowing it. The vice president's little brother, hiding in plain sight. Han hauls him toward the door, forcing a smile that doesn't reach anywhere near his eyes, still performing damage control in front of people who are already starting to believe the wrong story is actually the true one. Sejun gets one more accusation out before they're gone, that Han assaults minors, films things he shouldn't, sells drugs. None of it's provable. All of it lands. Once they're alone, Han shoves him against a wall and demands to know what the hell he's doing, spreading unverified nonsense like this. Sejun doesn't flinch. He tells him the plan plainly. He doesn't need proof. He just needs doubt. Enough doubt, spread wide enough, and Han becomes garbage to everyone in this building, whether a single word of it is confirmed or not. Han's reputation is already in the water. Sejun tells him so, almost gently, like he's explaining something Han should have already understood, and there's nothing left for him to do about it now. In private, hours earlier, Han had already tried explaining himself to his father. The chairman doesn't want excuses. He lays it out cold. 2 comas, 2 employees, on Han's watch, in his own building. He invokes Han's mother, says her memory bought him mercy that's now spent. This is the last time. Han apologizes. There's nothing else to say to a man who holds his entire life in one sentence. Han doesn't listen. He can't. This is the part he doesn't understand yet. Standing over Sejun, with blood on his knuckles. He thinks he's winning. He's not. Every hit is being logged into a story Sejun built on purpose. A public, witnessed, camera-covered assault. Sejun takes the beating because the beating is the plan. Han slams Sejun onto a desk, tells him he's going to lay him down right next to his vegetative friend. Coworkers freeze, unsure whether to step in. Sejun lets him keep talking, keeps smiling through the blood, says he'll settle this himself before security shows up. And then something changes in his eyes. He moves fast, faster than a person should move. He goes for a vital point, screaming something about the descendants of Han Junwoo, and for the first time, Han looks surprised. He blocks it anyway. A coworker somewhere behind them mutters something about athlete-level reflexes. Sejun doesn't care. He tells Han he doesn't consider trash to be people, closes the distance again, and Han answers with a flying armbar, timed dead center into an uppercut. Sejun goes down, through the floor. Literally, the desk splinters, tile cracks, and he is lying in the wreckage. An older employee tries to get between them, pulling rank, telling Han to stop. Han turns on him instead, calls him a chunk of fat begging to rupture and die. The man tries again anyway. Brave or stupid, doesn't matter which. And Han puts him down with one strike, sneering that it's his resignation now. And when it's over, Han smears through blood, asks what a broken office and one beaten-up student could possibly accomplish against a family that owns the building they're standing in. Sejun doesn't argue the point. He says he's not trying to chase Han forever. He's trying to catch him once, cleanly, in front of witnesses who can't deny what they saw, and let the system do the rest. The police walk in seconds later. It wasn't luck. It was a trap the whole time. Su-hyeon stitches Sejun up afterward, tells him to rest before Hajin sees his face and panics. Then she gets serious, tells him not to carry things alone anymore, that Detective Jang plays it straight, that 2 people fighting together beat one person fighting solo every time. Sejun thanks her, says he has something to tell her. He doesn't get to say it yet. Back at the office, officers confirm what Han refuses to believe. This was staged. Witnesses, footage, all of it locked down before he even understood he was being hunted. Somewhere else in the building, a records clerk is being leaned on by Detective Na, told plainly this counts as obstruction of justice if he hands over the wrong file. Su-hyeon stands next to him, smiling in a way that makes the threat land harder, without a single word of her own. Han gets handcuffed and immediately tries the only card he thinks he has left, implying he knows Detective Jang got suspended, implying that makes this arrest shaky. Jang tells him he's back on the job now, and this time there's no easy way out. Someone near them, hurt, maybe performing it, maybe not, starts swaying like they might collapse, and staff scramble for an ambulance. Every second of this adds another mark against Han that he can't talk his way out of. He tries one more taunt anyway, says there's no real evidence since Jason can't speak. Someone tells him he'll have less and less to smile about from here. He doesn't know yet how right that is. Across town, 2 security guards are standing outside Jae-sung's hospital room, told to watch him around the clock because someone thinks he's still a target. One of them steps away for a bathroom break. That's the gap someone was waiting for. A masked figure gets past the second guard, walks into the room, confirms the name on the chart, and goes for the kill. Jason gets there first. He doesn't ask questions. He drags the attacker off Jae-sung and starts breaking things immediately. No hesitation, no mercy, no interest in explanations. The attacker, cornered, bleeding, desperate, tries crying. Claims to be just a student. Claims to be a girl. Begs him not to hit a girl. Jason doesn't blink. Tells her a story from a battlefield once, about how women and children who surrendered used to be spared. Then he tells her the lesson that mission actually taught him. Monsters don't have an age. They don't have a gender. And what they deserve is fire. The mask comes off the act completely after that. She screams that people like her were made this way by people like him. Self-proclaimed adults who built a world that turns kids into this. And then she says something that should scare everyone in that hallway. She wasn't the only one sent tonight. A second man steps into view, and she tries a different angle. Thinks he's another buyer, another junkie here for the same reason she is. He isn't. His name is Brian, and he's already handled every other attacker outside, left them for the police to find groaning on the floor. She calls Jason uncle next, claims she was just drunk, just confused. It doesn't move him at all. He tells her flatly that ending someone's life doesn't leave room for excuses. What he does to her after that isn't quick, and it isn't clean, and it isn't meant to be. Back at the station, Jang sits across from Han and starts pulling threads Han thought were buried. The kidnapped officer, the warehouse assault, and a name Han hasn't heard out loud in years. Han Junwoo. His birth name, his life before the adoption erased it, before he was a national jiu-jitsu athlete instead of a company heir. Han goes quiet. Lawyers up. A commissioner walks in next, confirms the charges, pulls Jang aside, and Han, alone for a second, starts gloating about how badly this is about to blow back on the detective instead of him. Then the lights cut out. When they come back, it's not Jang standing across from him anymore. Han demands to know how, why, what this even means. Jason doesn't answer any of it directly. He just tells him the only thing left for Han to do now is fall, and that's the important part. He wasn't wrong the first time either. Han got hunted by cops once before and slipped free. Jason makes sure he understands that today isn't that day. He starts hitting him. Right there, inside a police station. Han screams that everything's being recorded, that he'll call someone above the chief, that he has more weapons than Jason could imagine. Jason keeps going, tells him nothing will stop him. Not the badge on the wall, not the cameras, not the building itself. No record of this will exist when he's done. Then he says something that isn't a threat. It's a warning. Everyone Han has ever used as leverage, every weakness he's exploited to control someone, that habit eventually turns around. It ends up wrapped around his own throat, right when he has nothing left to fight back with. Han, bloodied, still finds room to be smug. Says only 48 hours can legally hold him. Says the warrant gets tossed the second it hits inquiry, since there's technically no grounds for arrest. Jason isn't interested in the argument. He asks him why he actually thinks he's here. Han guesses it's the person supposedly backing him. Jason corrects him. He's not the one backing anyone. He just came to beat him for what he did to Jae-sung, and he's holding back worse for now. Han asks if that means he's free to go. He is. Jason tells him to walk out and live like nothing happened, because someone else wants him dead even more than Jason does, and Jason isn't willing to let Han meet that person behind bars. This visit was just a greeting. While he's here smiling at him, he's already taking apart everything the Han family built, piece by piece. Alone in his cell afterward, Han mutters to himself. Says Jason doesn't know a damn thing about him yet. Says most of what's gone wrong lately traces back to one specific person he hasn't named. Nobody hears it. Not yet. Somewhere far from the station, Brian stands at a cemetery, hat in hand, looking rougher than he wants to be seen looking. He tells the woman waiting there, Su-hyeon, that he'll come back next time looking put together. He doesn't quite manage to explain why that matters to him. Then he turns toward the graves he came for and apologizes for taking so long to come back. He hears the gunshots before he reaches the door. 2 of them, then nothing. The bearded man doesn't remember drawing his own gun. He just has it in his hand, and he's already running, and the only 2 words left in his head are names. Grace, Haley. For 1 second, walking through that door goes exactly the way it's supposed to. Haley complaining he came home empty-handed. Grace scolding him for smoking again. A guest already inside. Someone she calls Jason. Someone Haley's excited about. Warm, normal, nothing wrong at all. It isn't real. It's the version his mind hands him instead of what's actually waiting past that door. What's actually waiting is Jason. Blood soaking his shoulder, a weapon still in his hand. No idea what just happened around him. Hey, can you hear me? The bearded man grabs him, shakes him, asks if his PTSD has gotten worse. Like there's still a version of tonight where that's the worst part. There isn't. Jason denies everything. Disoriented, hostile. Like the question itself is an accusation he doesn't understand. The bearded man doesn't let go, drags him back toward the apartment, tells him to open his eyes and look, really look at what happened while he was gone. Grace is on the floor, not moving. He talks to her like she'll answer if he just finds the right words. She doesn't. Then Haley, he begs her to wake up, tells her this has to be a dream, that if he can just wake up they'll meet again, and he means it enough to put the gun to his own head to force it true. Jason kicks it out of his hand before he gets the chance. I said I'd kill you myself. No softness. But first, there's work you're going to do with me. For both of them. It isn't mercy, it's a leash. It's also the only thing that gets him off that floor. Time skips forward without asking permission. He's standing at a grave now. Haley's. Apologizing for being late. Promising to come back. Promising to spend whatever's left of his life protecting people from men exactly like the ones who took her. Then a voice. A name that used to belong to somebody else entirely. Jason? I'm ready. What do I need to do? Jason already has the answer, and Su-hyeon is standing right there when he gives it. He'll take Han Junwoo himself. Brian gets Chief Kim, everything about him, down to information the man doesn't even know he's carrying. A former intelligence agent can dig that deep. Brian can. Cut to a diner. Jason sits across from an old man everyone around him treats like royalty, because he practically is. Jason tells him Brian, a Korean police contact, and himself are enough for what's coming. The old man laughs it off, teases him about Su-hyeon, tells him not to let her get away, then gets to business. A new drug is already moving through the underworld and stirring the wrong kind of attention. He needs Jason's help again. Someone standing near him isn't so sure 2 people can handle an organization this size. The old man doesn't share the doubt. Put Jason, Brian, and Su-hyeon in a room together, he says, and they could take apart an entire special forces unit. Among the best operators he's ever worked with, these 3 top the list. Present day, Brian walks back into a life that has nothing to do with any of that, and gets recognized before he said a word. Jason Appa? Someone at the gym spots Jason first, and within seconds he's being mobbed by people who missed him more than he probably let himself expect. New haircut, new clothes. The arrest warrant that was supposed to end his freedom, gone. I just pressed them with more power, is all the instructor Ducky receives when he asks how Jason made it disappear. Nobody pushes for more. Whatever Jason did, it worked, and that's enough for everyone in the room. A police car sits outside now during gym hours. Nobody has to worry about Jason's hospital room either. Not anymore. Then he brings Brian forward. Introductions move fast. The instructor Sejun, a member named Jungho, until it's Hajin's turn. She gives her name, asks if he knows Gunbap, smiles the way you smile at a stranger you're being polite to. Brian excuses himself before she finishes the sentence, says he left something in the car. Doesn't come back for a long time. Outside, Su-hyeon finds him. She doesn't ask if he's okay. She already knows, and she's the one who says it first. that Hajin looks like Haley. Same age. Close enough that it isn't subtle. That's the piece nobody else at that gym has. The guilt Jason's carried since, and a girl who died before Sejun or Hajin ever existed to either of them. Brian doesn't argue with any of it. He tells her he's joining Hajin's detail. Says revenge already happened once. They killed everyone responsible, and all it left behind was emptiness. This time he wants something that isn't revenge, a life worth protecting. Kids who remind him of the one he couldn't. Hajin agrees without much resistance. Joseph already watches her. Now Brian will too. I don't trust the police, Su-hyeon tells her flatly. Stay like this until we get their heads. Sejun doesn't get to walk Hajin home that night. Su-hyeon pulls him aside instead. Jason wants him. And what Jason wants is simple. Stripped down so he can see exactly what the drug is doing. Across the city, Han Junwoo is finally out of custody and furious about how long it took. His lawyer stumbles through an excuse. The commissioner won't answer the phone. Neither will the chief. He already suspects why. He's right to. The chairman doesn't waste time on comfort. Han Junwoo is out of the family, out of the company, free to do whatever he wants with a name that no longer means anything, and a warning that his own mother would be ashamed of what he's become. Han begs for one thing before he's dismissed. The finish. The match against Sejun. Total obedience to Chief Kim, in exchange for seeing it through. He gets the one exception. Nothing else. He offers proof. Footage of his own beating at Sejun's hands, as evidence of what the drug has turned the boy into, and promises to lock down a date and location with Kim directly. Back at the gym, Sejun can't make the drug respond the way it did before. Smaller dose, weaker pull, and he admits the quiet part out loud, that maybe more would fix it. You're addicted. Jason doesn't soften it. A pharmacist is coming from the States to find a cure. Until then, he holds on. That's when Director Kim walks in. Alone, smiling like he's owed the moment. I've been doing so much research on you, he says, right before Jason puts him on the ground. Kim doesn't stop smiling, even bleeding. He tells them exactly what he did that morning. Released people. Not soldiers, addicts nobody would notice missing until it was already too late. Somewhere else in the city, Brian is walking with Su-hyeon, Joseph, and Hajin when he makes an excuse about the bathroom, and doesn't come back the way he left. Back at the gym, Kim finishes the threat. If he doesn't check in separately, Hajin disappears. No trace. Doesn't matter who's watching her. Jason smiles back. He always carries a very sophisticated weapon with him. He's not talking about Joseph. 3 blocks from where Hajin is standing, 3 men have Brian surrounded, and one of them is enjoying himself. Tells him they don't hesitate the way his side does. Tells him a leg shot won't be enough to save him. Brian shoots the one behind him, in the leg. Then shoots the one talking, in the head. The third one fakes a surrender, then throws a blade the second Brian's guard drops. He never finds out if it lands. I don't care how many of you come. 3 bodies on the ground beneath him. This time I'll definitely protect. He keeps one alive long enough to talk. The survivor gives up a number. Dark web, no face behind it. Payment in coins after a job's done. That's everything he has. Never met the person who hired him. Only ever got a message. When he asks if he can call for help, Brian doesn't even look at him. Whenever you want. If you can. Back at the gym, Kim is still bleeding and still talking. Name's Sun Do-hyun. Tells Jason not to bother sending anyone toward the second name, like he already knows exactly what's waiting there. Across town, a boxing gym runs its own quiet drama in the background. One fighter dropped again mid-round, unrelated to any of it, just another body training too hard for its own good. And in an alley somewhere else, Jungho is stuck cleaning 3 bodies off the ground, muttering Su-hyeon's full name like a curse, complaining about a job nobody asked if he wanted. Kim finally gets to the reason he walked in. The match. Sejun and Han Junwoo. He offers to help pick the date, the location, dresses it up like it's an honor. Jason isn't buying the performance. You'll walk into the trap I've set without even seeing it. Then I'll burn every one of you down to the roots. Kim folds faster than expected. Admits the real target was never Sejun, it was Han Junwoo, losing, publicly, to the boy they tried to weaponize against him. Jason lets him walk out anyway. Not mercy. The police stationed outside never moved the entire time Kim was up there, which means he was never actually in danger of getting caught. He was a signal the whole time. Letting him go finishes the message. Jason turns to Sejun once Kim is gone. If our base has been hit by now, it's time we hit theirs. He already knows who he's sending. Su-hyeon. Su-hyeon finds the apartment first. Nice building. Good view. She stands outside it and notes, almost to herself, that he's living well for a man who's about to die. She'd already heard the name before she saw the door. Sejun and Jason called him Snake for the eyes when they talked about tracking him back to wherever he was hiding. Somewhere near Gold off a settle. Something to retrieve, Jason had said, not sure it's still there. That's all the two of them needed to send her walking straight into Director Kim's front hall. Inside, Kim is already expecting company. He's not hiding it. He gives the order to let the doctor in, confirms everything's ready, settles into the kind of calm that only comes from a man who thinks he's already won. Dr. Jung arrives nervous, and the first face he sees isn't Kim's. It's team leader Kong's. Wrong face, wrong room, and Jung knows it immediately. He's pale before anyone says a word. Kong doesn't waste time being subtle about what this is. A party, he calls it. Weapons included. Su-hyeon steps into the middle of it and doesn't flinch. Plays along. Thanks them for the hospitality. And then the room turns into exactly what they built it to be. Blades come out. Men who thought they were the trap. She moves through them like the outcome was decided before they walked in. One goes down clean. A cut to the leg, femoral artery, and he's done fighting whether he knows it yet or not. The others don't last long enough to matter. Then Kong steps up himself. He's got a reason to believe in this one. The last time they fought, Jason was standing next to her. Not today, he tells her. This time it's just him. It isn't enough. She puts him down, and she doesn't stop there. Kim's still talking, still explaining himself, still certain he's above the moment he's standing in. And she walks past Kong's body and puts a blade in him mid-sentence. He never sees the turn coming. The room goes quiet. He's alive, barely, begging now, the arrogance gone in seconds, offering the only currency he has left. Information. Sejun's drug problem. A possible cure, if the right manufacturer can be leaned on. He says Jason's name like it's a bargaining chip. Su-hyeon isn't interested in killing him. Not yet. She tells him exactly why he's still breathing. Because she chose it, and because living in fear of when it ends is worse than dying fast. Then she knocks him out and hands him off to the doctor with one instruction. Keep him alive, don't call for help. She's not done in that apartment. Somewhere near the fridge, tucked where nobody would think to check, is the camera Do-hyeon planted, the thing Jason sent her here to find in the first place. She digs it out, impressed despite herself. Do-hyeon got this in without anyone noticing, and Jason actually managed to secure it. The call comes in right after. Jason checking if she's hurt. She isn't, and she tells him so without making it a moment. Just confirms the camera's in hand, mentions she'll grab whatever phones and tablets are lying around while she's at it. There's a second problem waiting on his end. Sejun had another episode, the drug after effects hitting again out of nowhere, bad enough that Jungho had to give him something fast just to get him to sleep. It's not the first time. It won't be the last. Not until somebody finds an actual cure instead of a stopgap. Jungho's the one sitting with him when Jason checks in, and he doesn't hide how scared he is. Shouldn't Sejun be in a hospital? Jason tells him to just watch over him, that sleep should help. It's reassurance without a real answer behind it, and both of them seem to know it. Jason's already moving on to the next piece. An underworld contact hands him a sample, the antidote, unfinished, untested, no clinical data behind it, side effects unknown. The contact wants it monitored for a month before anyone trusts it. Jason doesn't have a month. He says he'll watch it himself, test it himself if it comes to that. It comes to that fast. He walks into a detention facility the next day with paperwork that opens every door, and he finds Lee Young-gun exactly where the drug left him, deteriorating, barely holding a conversation. Jason doesn't ask permission. He injects him. What he says to the guard afterward is the whole reason laid bare. He needed a subject. Young-gun's story didn't start in that cell. It started in a house that never had enough food in it. A mother who resented every mouth she had to feed. A boyfriend who made sure he knew it. A landlord who was the only person who ever offered him a meal without wanting something back. He grew up thin and quiet and furious, and none of it went away when he got older. It got worse. Co-workers mocked the donated uniform, called him a beggar to his face. And somewhere in there, something in him decided the only way out of poverty was to take what belonged to somebody else. So he did. Extortion first. Kids, co-workers, anyone smaller than his temper. And when he was at what he thought was the absolute bottom of his life, someone showed up looking like an answer. It was Director Kim. The man he thought was saving him was recruiting him. That meeting didn't pull him out of the hole. It buried him deeper in it. And he didn't understand that until it was far too late to matter. None of that softens what Jason does to him now. Detective Jang walks in mid-injection and doesn't hide his anger. What is this? Why is he doing this without a doctor in the room? Jason's answer is simple. It's an antidote. And without it, young Gun dies anyway. Jang doesn't get to argue the point. Jason's already turned to the man on the floor, and what comes out of his mouth isn't comfort. Whatever the sob story, whatever the excuse, nobody mourns a man like him for longer than a day, Jason tells him. And nothing he says now undoes what he already did. He leaves the guard thanking him on the way out, and the guard can't help but wonder out loud who exactly is backing a man who walks through locked doors like they're not there. Jang doesn't answer that either. He's already moving to the next problem. No evidence at Kim's penthouse. Nothing to prove a crime ever happened there. Expected, Jason tells him. They knew we'd follow it here. If the videos are still getting uploaded somewhere, there's a filming site nobody's found yet. Same for the manufacturing operation. And the people they've already caught aren't talking. But everything with a long enough tail eventually gets stepped on. And now they've got someone who specializes in finding exactly where that tail leads. Brian. He's already on it, watching a phone that won't sit still, moving across the city instead of staying put. Not a location, a vehicle. He tracks it to a gas station, calls it in, and Jason gives him one instruction. Don't kill anybody. Just take them down and call back. Brian doesn't hesitate. He catches the driver off guard and takes the car instead of the man. Clean, fast, no wasted motion. It's not until he checks the back seat that the real surprise shows up. A young woman, terrified, trying to make herself small enough to disappear. She's maybe 20, speaks enough English to get by, and once the fear settles into something closer to desperation, the story comes out. Family debt she never asked for, work she didn't choose, recruiting other kids into the same trap she's stuck in now. She offers everything she knows about where Kim's people operate, in exchange for one thing, getting out. She warns Brian not to trust the police either, says they're being watched. Across town, Detective Na is finding out exactly how far that warning reaches. He's at Prosecutor Cho's office, asking for a warrant tied to Han Junwoo's company. And what he walks into is a man mid-beating, a suspected child molester on the floor, and Cho standing over him like it's the most reasonable thing in the world. He's got a philosophy for it. Beat men like this badly enough, publicly enough, and maybe they stay down. And the next one thinks twice. That's justice, as far as Cho's concerned, not the version people write speeches about. Later, in a different room, Jang, Jason, and Su-hyeon go through the footage from Do-hyun's hidden camera. It's good. It's also a problem. The same footage that could bury Han Junwoo could just as easily put Do-hyun in a cell for participating in what it shows. They decide to sit on it. There's enough other evidence for now. Jason has one more question before they move on. Does Cho have history with Han Junwoo's father's company? Enough of one to matter. Cho doesn't deny it when Na asks him the same thing, more or less. But he's not interested in personal grudges winning cases. An egg doesn't crack a rock, no matter how many times you throw it. What he wants is something heavier, and what he's already built is bigger than either detective realized. A full investigation into Han Junwoo's organization, mass violence, illegal fights, a drug pipeline running underneath all of it, and Junwoo himself confirmed as Chairman Han Sang-cheol's own bastard son. The department's too close to the company to move openly. Cho's been working around that, alone, until now. Then he tells Na about a girl, 12 years old, a stranger who bought her something sweet off a street cart, made her feel seen for the first time in a while, and used exactly that to get close enough to hurt her. That man is the one on Cho's floor. He doesn't wait for Na to react. He tells him flat out, he's got disorders he doesn't hide, a personality nobody would call good, and if Na can't stomach watching how he operates, he should find someone else to work with. He's not going to pretend to be something softer than what he is. Then, he goes back to the man on the ground. He was divorced for this, lost his daughter over it. And still, when the man begs him to stop, screams that there are rules about how people get treated, Cho doesn't slow down. He tells him the system already decided what he's for, brought back from expulsion specifically to be the example, the face they'd point to, when they needed the public to believe someone was finally being punished properly. They'll call it emotional, they'll call it a breakdown. They already agreed to let that be the story. He's not finished with him yet. Afterwards, Cho and Detective Na, standing outside, talking in circles that weren't really circles. Cho had laid it out plainly. Corrupt police, corrupt prosecutors, victims piling up because the system protects the people doing the damage. Na pushed back, nervous about where it was headed. Cho had an answer ready. The US government is already leaning on Korean drug traffickers. Use that pressure, and it's enough cover to move. Na didn't say yes right away. He barely said anything, but Cho agreed to meet Na's contact. And that hesitation was the last version of Na that got to stay cautious. Detective Na takes him through a converted locker room, and don't explain why. No badge shown, no warrant read. A prosecutor of the Republic of Korea, stripped for a wire check like a common criminal, walked barefoot into a shower stall thick with steam. And the man waiting for him there isn't law enforcement. He gives one name, Jason. Then, he tells the prosecutor in front of him exactly what he's building. A campaign to kill or imprison everyone connected to a corporation that runs on drugs, addiction, and buried bodies. No hedging, no official language, just intent. Prosecutor Cho isn't as rattled as he should be. He's watching this man's strength up close and thinking one word. He asks the obvious question, "Are you Jason?" And gets an answer that isn't quite yes or no, just the plan itself, laid out like it's already decided. Build the case against the father and the half-brother first. Airtight, untouchable. Sejun handles Han Junwoo, personally, not the courts. Cho's role, if he wants one, depends on proving right now that he can be trusted with any of it. Jason doesn't take any of this on faith. He wants the real reason Cho is here. So Cho starts talking about a fiancé who used to work as a secretary for a corporate vice president, and what she found on his computer. A hard drive, crime footage, files organized by folder, judiciary, legislature, executive. She saw it, panicked, and lied to the vice president's face when he caught her looking rattled. Then she told Cho everything, and Cho, a new prosecutor at the time, told her to drop it, called it porn floating around the internet, told her not to risk herself for people who weren't her family, scolded her for wanting to play apostle of justice. He didn't believe her. That's the part he can't undo. The night comes back to him in pieces. A senior colleague pulling him aside to smoke, to relax, to give his girlfriend some time. Casual advice at exactly the wrong moment. And when Cho recapped for that same senior what his fiancée, An Ji-hyun, found on the vice president's hard drive, the senior's face changed. He made an excuse and left immediately. That reaction never faded. Cho remembers it. He got home late, flowers in hand. The door was open. "I'm home." Nothing answered. She died. 2 words. No transition needed to explain what they cost him. An elevator, later. No witnesses, just Cho and the senior prosecutor who delayed him that night, with easy advice about giving a girlfriend space. Cho didn't ask a question. He stated a fact. Ji-hyun didn't kill herself. The senior tried outrage first. "How dare you, I'm still your senior." And it didn't land, because Cho had already seen his face the moment Dawson Company came up in conversation. "I didn't know this was going to happen," isn't the same as "I didn't know." Cho beat him until the denial stopped mattering. He wasn't done. He went straight to the source, the vice president's office. A secretary interrupted the man mid-nap to warn him a prosecutor was downstairs, demanding to see him. He was annoyed at first. This was his important afternoon nap time, he said, like the words meant something. And then he heard whose fiancé was asking, and his tone flipped instantly into hospitality. "Bring him up immediately. We can't keep a Republic of Korea prosecutor waiting." He got his audience. The vice president, a man used to being feared instead of confronted, greeted him with rehearsed sympathy. "Sorry for your loss. Such a good colleague." Cho didn't argue with any of it. He slapped him. Then, the threats started. Quiet ones, the kind meant to land harder than shouting. "Cross me and I'll frame you or your family. I've already got the fake evidence ready." He told Cho that grief like this gets forgotten in a few days, like an alcoholic snack. He never said he killed Ji-hyun. He didn't have to. The implication did the work for him. Cho didn't answer any of it. He just left. And that the silence, the exit, no scene, no satisfaction, handed to the man who wanted one, is what actually got under the vice president's skin. Back in the steam of Jason's hideout, Cho finishes the story with something Jason didn't ask for. His own history of getting pushed out to the countryside by that same vice president, and playing broken on purpose, quiet, compliant, forgettable, until the man's guard dropped enough to let him crawl back into Seoul Central. It wasn't luck. It was patience wearing a disguise. Jason likes what he hears. He lays out the timeline. About a month. Sejun has already been drugged once, without permission, as a demonstration for people who treat human beings like a product line. The plan isn't to stop the upcoming match. Stopping it hands the enemy exactly what they want. The plan is to let it happen and be ready when it does. Then the door opens on someone else Jason's operation has been building toward. A young woman, barely 20, brought in by Brian, scared, bargaining for her life instead of pretending she has leverage. Jin So-yeon. She knows where Director Kim's office is. She'll give it up for a new identity, protection for her parents, and one condition. She never talks to police, never talks to prosecutors, not once, not ever. She names her price and never asks for anything past it. A new identity for herself, protection for her parents, and that one line she repeats, like it's the only part of the deal she actually trusts them to keep. She gets her deal. Somewhere else, under a different kind of pressure, the drug hasn't been kind to the man taking it voluntarily. Han Junwoo, stripped of his family name, cut off from the company, unemployed by his own father's order, is dosing himself again. And Director Kim is the one standing close enough to watch it happen. No cure exists yet. The side effects are worse than either of them expected. Ju doesn't sound like a man being warned. He sounds like a man convincing himself. Best condition of his life, he says. If this hadn't slowed him down, he'd have already beaten Sejun into the ground. Kim doesn't correct him. He just watches. Quiet, clinical, filing away exactly how far gone his own patient already is. Be prepared, he tells him. That's the whole warning. Junwoo laughs it off. Su-hyeon's side of the operation has a different kind of loose end to tie off. Do-hyun asks if the hidden camera he planted is still where he left it. He's checked every spot he can think of. Nothing there. Su-hyeon tells him it's gone, because she already retrieved it herself, weeks ago. Confirmation, not mystery. She tells him to stop worrying and focus on the fight in front of him instead. Do well enough, and a pro debut is realistic. But Do-hyun doesn't let the moment close clean. He brings up something his mother used to tell him, about owning your mistakes instead of chasing success, and doesn't explain why he's saying it now. Just something cool, he says, in case it comes up later. Su-hyeon watches him walk back to the ring, and thinks he's already better than she was at his age. She doesn't push the other thing. Hajin and Sejun are on a date, trailed at by two bodyguards who don't get to have days off. It should be normal. A movie, popcorn, teasing about a shirt that's too short. It isn't. Not really. Not with Joseph and Brian scanning every exit behind them. Someone asks where Jason is. The answer is short. Busy with the prosecutor. And it's the only thread connecting two completely different worlds that are about to collide in the same building. Because that building is already surrounded. Jason and Cho have found the office Jin So-yeon pointed them to. A suspected muscle recruitment front. Thugs posted at the entrance like it's nothing. Jin So-yeon gets handcuffed to a pipe outside instead of walking in with them, protesting the whole time that she never signed up to be part of this. Cho does the cuffing himself. Your crime doesn't disappear just because you were used, he tells her. And it isn't cruelty, so much as a man drawing a line he needs to believe in. Jason's instructions to Cho are simple and cold. Two prosecutors make the thugs think twice, no matter how many of them there are. And if they don't think twice, if any of them recognize him, Jason's already decided what happens next. He'll kill every one of them and call it satisfaction. Then the call comes. Come in here quickly. There are gangsters causing trouble here. We need to apprehend them, right? Cho steps inside. He introduces himself properly first. Seoul District Prosecutor's Office, please cooperate with the inspection. Like the badge still means something in a room full of men who don't care. It buys him exactly 0 seconds. Jason gets there before anyone else does. One heavyset thug, tattooed, mouths off. Jason headbutts him once. He doesn't get back up. Across the room, 3 more men are huddled together planning. Jason doesn't wait for them to finish. He walks straight in and asks what they're whispering about. And the man leading the huddle turns around with a face that's been rebuilt by violence before. Long hair. Both ears gone. I also had dumpling ears once. Right now, both of my ears are gone. Jason slaps him for it. That's the spark. The man screams a bounty into the room. 10 million won to whoever brings Jason down, and every thug still standing turns into a weapon at once. It should be chaos. It isn't, not for Cho. He moves better than anyone in that room expected, better than Jason expected, dropping men one after another with a kind of controlled aggression nobody trains a prosecutor to have. A knife comes out against him, he doesn't back off it. Jason, mid-fight, actually likes what he's watching. My style, he says. like he's found something worth keeping around. Then a blind hit lands, someone Cho never saw coming, and he's on the ground, unconscious, out of the fight before it's finished. Jason is alone now. The man with no ears comes back with a knife. So now you're all alone? He isn't asking to be reassured. He's asking because it's true, and because he's already decided what that means. Jason answers with an axe of his own. Starting now, don't whine even if something gets chopped off. 3 men get put between them, human shields meant to slow Jason down just long enough for a blade to find his back, while he's busy with someone else. It's a plan built for a man who fights like everyone else in that building. 2 of the 3 don't last long enough to matter. 1 shield left. The 3rd shield is still standing, and he thinks that makes him different. He's wrong. The last man remaining, Chang-yu, goes low, trying for a hold from behind. Fast, trained, confident in it. The kind of grip that's supposed to end a fight before it starts. For half a second it looks like it might work. Jason doesn't wait for him to make his next move. Jason slams him onto his back. And it doesn't really worry Chang-yu, but he should have been worried. What happens next isn't fast. Jason takes his time. He puts a thumb where it does the most damage and doesn't stop until the man is screaming with one eye gone. Then he leans in close enough to be heard over it. Next time I'll rip out your vocal cords. That's not a threat. That's a schedule. The man wakes up somewhere worse. A shipping container, hands bound, one eye a ruined mess, someone bandaged badly on purpose. The kind of bandage that's meant to hurt more than it helps. And standing over him this time isn't Jason. It's Jungho. Jungho lays it out plainly, no anger in it, which is somehow worse. 10 fingers, 10 toes, 1 removed every hour for the next 10, unless he starts talking. Money doesn't interest Jungho. He waves off the offer without even pretending to consider it. He wants 2 things: where director Kim keeps his drug factories, where he keeps the footage. The man doesn't have the first answer. Only drop points, temporary ones, the kind of information that dries up the moment someone checks it. What he does offer instead is a name he probably shouldn't say out loud. Kim isn't the only one running this. Han Junwoo is worse. Jungho doesn't care. He'd given the man 1 second to guess what he actually wanted to hear. Wrong guess. Another finger gone. And Jungho tells him, flat, almost bored, like he's reading off a grocery list, that he sees no problem with him suffering a slow, horrible death. Because he's nothing. By the next hour, the man remembers something that might actually matter. Not the factory, where Kim moved the materials tied to his VIP clients. Footage, records, the kind of thing that ends careers. Jungho takes the address, takes the phone, doesn't promise anything, just tells him quietly, what happens if it's a lie? It isn't. Nowhere in that container does anyone say Kim's real weakness out loud. But Jungho already has an address, and an address is enough. Jason gets to the storage site first. By the time Prosecutor Cho walks in, the guards are already unconscious on the floor, and the only one still standing is the only one worth talking to. Cho doesn't bring a warrant. He brings a fire extinguisher to a locked steel gate and enough patience to break it open with his hands. The guard threatens to report them: trespassing, assault, impersonating a prosecutor. And for a second it almost sounds like he's found the exit. Cho corrects him. Not that part. The part where he just admitted he's about to get hit. The guard folds fast after that. He always does. The loud ones usually do, once the math changes. Before they go, Jason leaves one more thing for the guard to pass along, a message for whoever actually runs this place, whenever he decides to show up. Change your glasses. They look like shit on you, Shin. He shows up soon enough. The man behind the glasses hears the message with no visible reaction, which, if you know him, is the reaction. He's alive. He's back in control. And whatever happened to him in that apartment weeks ago hasn't slowed him down the way it should have. Team leader Kang is already cleaning up the loose end. The guard who let that message reach Kim isn't an asset anymore. He's a liability, standing in a room he shouldn't still be breathing in. Kang ends the problem himself. Then he tells Kim something else. The drug is working, better than it should. He can feel the strength coming back, the same strength he lost the day Jason and Su-hyeon broke him in front of everyone. He has one request. He wants Su-hyeon for himself, personally, no one else's hands on it. Not because it's efficient, because it's owed. Kim doesn't say no. Kang wants to move now. Hit the gym directly. Catch them off guard while they still think they're the ones in control. Kim shuts it down flat. Not because it's wrong, because it's early. Everything is already in motion, pieces sliding into place that Kang isn't seeing. He gets Su-hyeon when Kim decides. Not before. Cho isn't working out of his own office anymore. Too many people in that building can be bought, and he's stopped pretending otherwise. Somewhere smaller, with someone he trusts, they're combing through what's left of the case, and they find something small but real. An abandoned warehouse, purchased right after the last drug lab went up in flames. It could be nothing. Jason says he'll find out. The warning comes fast. Dangerous. Alone. Out in the countryside overnight. No backup close enough to matter if it goes wrong. Jason's already moving before the sentence finishes. Before he leaves, someone stops him. 20 years old. The informant who's been feeding them everything since the raid on the recruitment office. She wants a promise kept first. New identities. For her and for her parents. She's scared, and nothing about the way she says it sounds rehearsed. Not the shaking voice. Not the way she won't quite meet his eyes when she says please. Cho takes a harder tone with her once Jason's gone. Reminds her that right now, she's still a suspect. That her cooperation is the only thing standing between her and a much worse conversation. She sits down. Across town, Hajin's bodyguards are doing what they always do. Waiting outside her academy for another ordinary day to end. It doesn't. She goes into the restroom after class. She doesn't come back out. Brian spots a stranger leaving with a suitcase too heavy to be innocent. Joseph checks the bathroom, comes up empty, and what comes out of his mouth next isn't a question. Catch that bitch. Brian catches her fast, corners her, gun up, demands the code to open the case. She gives it to him without a fight, hands it over almost too easily. That should have been the warning. Nobody hands over a code that fast, unless they already know it won't matter. The case is rigged. It doesn't open. It sends a current through his whole body instead, and he's on the ground before he understands what happened. She picks his gun up off the floor like it's nothing. Like she's done this before? Because she has. You'll end up dying from making mistakes, right? Am I wrong? Hajin is still missing. At a penthouse high enough that the city underneath it looks manageable, Director Kim and the man above him go over the state of the operation. The vice president is tired. Tired of cleaning up messes that keep repeating. Of doing it for people who keep calling it strategy. The prosecutor doesn't worry him. No warrant, no threat. Just a public servant who thinks pressure is the same thing as power. What he wants to know is who's bringing in the next girl. Kim already knows. He's seen her before. The name doesn't need saying out loud between them. Just a look, a small acknowledgement. The kind two men share when they've done this exact conversation more times than either wants to count. She's already on her way. Back at the academy, Joseph finds Hajin unconscious in the restroom and gets her out. For a second it looks like it's over. Then he sees the woman with the suitcase in the hallway. Gun raised for real this time, and he turns back inside instead of running. A security guard shows up behind her. For a moment it looks like backup. Joseph doesn't wait to find out. He tears the bathroom door off its frame and throws it, buying the guard just enough time to get clear. An act that costs him the one advantage he still had. That's the mistake. The guard was never in danger. He was working with her the whole time, and the second Joseph's attention is somewhere else, a needle goes into his neck. She picks the gun back up. This is dangerous, so I'll just take it with me. Hajin is gone. Again. Brian is the one who has to make the call. He tells Jason what happened, and one detail sticks in the telling. The woman who took her looks exactly like the informant they've been protecting. Same mole, same everything, if the style weren't so different. Jason doesn't ask questions, tells Brian to rest, to meet him at the gym. Then, alone, quieter, to no one. Looks like I'll have to break them until they can never crawl back out again. Earlier that same night, before any of this happened, Sejun gives Hajin a ring. Not that kind. He's quick to clarify. Almost too quick. A tracker, in case her phone ever gets taken from her. She laughs it off. Agrees to wear it every day like a couple's ring anyway. Insists she doesn't actually care about that sort of thing. She's wearing it right now. She won't need it for now. Sejun finds her through her phone, before the van even finishes pulling away from the school. The woman sees him coming, and she isn't scared. She's amused. She drops the phone on the ground in front of him. Take a good look. It's Hajin's phone, the one with the tracker. He runs anyway. She tells the driver not to bother stopping. Nobody actually throws themselves at a moving car outside of a movie. Sejun throws himself at the windshield. It doesn't kill him. It doesn't stop the car cleanly either. For a second, the whole vehicle lurches like it can't decide whether to keep going or admit what just hit it. The driver loses it. That psycho bastard. The man beside him doesn't have time to be scared, only practical. Get out, now, before Jason closes the distance. They still need to grab So-yeon first. Sejun doesn't make it inside the car. He can't stop it twice with his own body. What he does instead is worse for them in the long run. He doesn't lose them. A patrol car near Sejun's gym gets pulled off station for a drunk and disorderly call 2 streets over. Convenient timing. if you don't ask who arranged it. The van pulls up minutes later. She gets out first, walks in like she owns the place. So-yeon, your big sis is here. Sejun reaches the van seconds behind her. The two men left outside don't get a warning. He puts both of them down, and when he's finished, what he says isn't really meant for them. So the thing you treasure so much, I'll tear it all away. Then he goes inside. He finds her before she finds So-yeon. One hit, no warning, and she's on the floor with blood on her face before she even registers what happened. He doesn't explain himself. He doesn't need to. Unless you kill me, you're not taking Hajin. She's still on the ground. He's still standing over her. Neither of them moves yet, and the silence between them says more than either has said out loud tonight. Somewhere in that building, So-yeon is still waiting. So is Hajin. Wherever she actually is, whoever's still holding her, however far this has already gone past the point either side can walk back from. The gym doesn't feel like a gym right now. It feels like the last quiet second before something that can't be undone.